I think the poet or the filmmaker or the musician, the poet must not avert his eyes. You must not avert your eyes. This is what is coming at us.
Welcome to One Good Thing. Okay, thank you for listening to One Good Thing. Paul, where can people find us? Twitter, Facebook, great. I'm Paul Salt, and remember, the one good thing about Adam Sandler movies is you don't have to fucking watch them. You don't.
Come on, man, it's going to be okay. Just this once. And then I promise, okay. We'll never, ever have to not watch an Adam Sandler film again.
Well, that sounds good to me. Okay. Hello, and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that tries to find the one asshole rival who isn't actually better suited to be the hero than Adam Sandler. I'm Paul Salt.
I'm Paul Goodman.
Today we shall be discussing the early movie career of Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
And just him as like an entity / spiritual
brand
being.
Yeah.
Spiritual brand being. It's very much the new hashtag. We've attempted to identify 5 of his more traditionally beloved early hits so that we can see if he has always, in fact, been a terrible, cynical, sellout piece of shit, or if that's a more recent development. Paul, you made us do this. Why?
I'm still really bitter about Date Movie. The consensus is that older Adam Sandler is pretty good, or at least, at the very least, watchable.
Funny is what people say.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people will go with that. Or, you know, like, oh, yeah, sure, you know, Jack and Jill's lazy and offensive and boring and crass. And
You've come up with 4 adjectives there, which is more work than Adam Sandler put into anything.
But a few things have changed. I've gotten older. I've seen a lot more Adam Sandler movies.
Yes.
I've seen more than I could have possibly dreamed of ever hoping to wanting to watch.
I've seen C-beams over the shoulder of Orion. I've seen a fat and middle-aged woman shitting out burritos.
I've now also asked a disability advocate to watch them.
Yay! You've asked is an interesting way of phrasing that.
Well, look.
I have made someone who helps disabled people. Actual ones, not just Sandler and his mates. They're proper disabled, look.
See, the thing is, I grew up believing that Adam Sandler had a severe learning disability and that he just got better.
That he was a fucking hero. Wow, he's championing disability rights here.
But watching all the later Sandlers, the thing is, I told myself that old Sandler was funny. I never really went back to them, and if nothing else, I just told myself that if I didn't like an older Adam Sandler movie, at least I didn't dislike it.
Okay.
It just was. So this isn't actually a defense as such, despite it being, you know, classic 10 episode.
Yeah.
But I think a much needed reevaluation, because you should never make a stand without evidence, and if you do, you should at least have the grace to admit when you were wrong.
Okay, so as you said there, before we start, I should give my background as well. I didn't watch any of these movies growing up, and I had not seen an Adam Sandler film before Spanglish, which we did for this podcast.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because I had no interest in them. I remember seeing the trailer for The Wedding Singer, and it didn't look funny to me. Actually, yes, we were made to watch Little Nicky in RE class, religious education, because I guess it beats teaching kids about actual fucking religions they might encounter. But he also showed us Dogma and 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and fucked if I can tell them apart now. I just had no interest, because it was part of a genre of American comedy I just didn't have any interest in, like gross-out comedies like American Pie, or sex comedies like Animal House, and in particular, and something that really stained a lot of this, I powerfully did not enjoy Saturday Night Live. It was on the Paramount Comedy Channel, and I watched it because I liked Ghostbusters and Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, but it just never did it for me. Call it cultural difference, whatever, but it just didn't, and I don't know. And Sandler was part of that, so I avoided his films, and actually nobody even recommended them to me. I didn't know anyone who was a fan of Adam Sandler movies until I met you.
Jesus, you talk about a liberal bubble. I grew up on the streets, mate. Street of gross out comedy. That was my growing up juice.
You were the first working class person I met. It was horrible. I hated it.
It smelled so dirty. Just showered and cried and cried and cried.
I shook your hand and all the grass clippings came off. It was oh.
Believe it or not, I was actually born into a working class family. I know it doesn't sound like it. This voice just came about unwittingly.
Mother, hand me a Carlsberg. Oh, fuck. So, my point is, all of this was very new to me. And it was interesting to see the supposedly good stuff after the universally hated stuff.
You'd always go back and then see the Sandler, I think, is an issue.
Yeah. But I already would have had bad expectations. And I had bad expectations when, back in 2010 circa, you lent me Freddy Got Fingered, which I thought was going to be a movie like, well, you know, what ended up The Waterboy being. And then was tremendously happily surprised. So I was... I good comedy can break through that barrier with me. It can definitely make me laugh if it's funny. As
in all the episodes that we've done, you know, we're still able to laugh. We're not sitting here with our arms crossed going, no, I refuse because I'm a critic and I just have no fun in life.
I reject fun.
No longer remember the smell of fun.
Why was I not permitted entry to fun? The door was meant only for you, and I am going now to close it. There's a fucking Kafka reference for you in this Adam Sandler episode, you pricks. Get that? You shouldn't.
I know I didn't.
Nor did I. Alright, we're not counting Threeman, just like with the Halloweens, which is the comparable episode to this, I guess. The sort of unrelenting horror. Partly because in this instance, what would the fucking point be? Oh, David Spade as a 12sman. Brilliant.
What film was David Spade in?
I really genuinely thought he was in at least one of these, so...
And how more damning can you be?
I guess. Just shoot me. Huh? Huh? Thing he did? Guess I'm the black sheep of this podcast.
God, I'll laugh myself senseless.
Was that a thing?
Yeah, senseless.
Brilliant.
I hope he doesn't think I'm a loser for thinking that.
I hope he's not really upset with us.
Well, it's about time that we grown-ups too.
Oh, God. Yeah, and it would also be unfair to count Steve Buscemi and Bradley Whitford, because they're usually the best things about these movies. So it seems ungrateful to bite the Buscemi that feeds.
He's going to be a Threeman. No one escapes the remit of Threeman.
Not ever.
It's not a really punchy slogan yet, but I'm working on it.
Each one of these movies brought to me a very mystical and spiritual realization as to the nature of Sandler. 5 lessons that I shall impart to all of you as we go.
That's right, guys. It's one of these episodes.
Structured to fuck. Just like all good fun.
Because we are probably going to differ ever so slightly on some of them, and because no one actually listens to anything anyone ever says, I'm going to ask you to score each film on 3 separate measurements.
Okay.
The laughometer.
Okay, we won't be needing that one.
Blow off the dust. The bilograph.
Okay.
The bile one feels at watching each one of these movies.
Oh, my bile as opposed to Sandler's bile.
Your bile.
Like the bile I felt.
The bile bubbling up in your gullet.
Okay.
And then how stereotypically Sandler this actually is, based on the blind prejudice that you have for this poor man. And then from that, I will extrapolate a score, say out of 100.
Am I ranking these out of 5?
Whatever you feel, I think.
3 octopuses.
Yeah.
Out of how many? The traditional number of octopuses.
The measurement standard of octopi.
A baker's octopus. I hate the baker's octopus.
He never lets us buy any bread. He just, gloms onto it all.
Could I have half a pound of...
Sorry, mate, octopus got it.
Who goes into a fucking baker and buys half a pound of anything?
You do, and that's why the octopus is there.
To ward off fuckers like me, who come in with their weird measurements of shit. I'll have 3 litres of rolls, please. I hate you.
Sick him, Octo.
Octo the octopus.
Look, he's a baker. He's a busy man. He hasn't got time to name other things.
All of his octopuses.
Octopus 1. All of them.
All of them.
So, anyway.
Why did you call them 1? I was just going to call all of them that. Oh, the logical fallacy of this baker. No wonder he counts things in 13s. Paul, what's the first film we're going to talk about?
First film is 1995's Billy Madison.
Billy Madison. The lesson here, you ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
Suntan lotion is good for me.
He was born into privilege and stood to inherit a fortune. But for 27-year-old Billy Madison, there's just one problem.
How could I hand over my company to someone who couldn't even get through school?
That's nice.
Adam Sandler's first lead role after a lengthy SNL run, where he performed memorable roles such as Man in a Shirt, Man Not in a Shirt,
Yeah.
Man with a Voice, Man, and also co-starring in Airheads. This one was directed by Tamara Davis, who directed a series of films and music videos in the 90s, culminating with Alien Ant Farm's movies, before going on to direct pretty much solely for TV. So this one was written by Sandler and Tim Herlihy. Now, if that name sounds familiar, that's because he's featured in past OGT episodes, Grown Ups 2, Pixels, and The Ridiculous Six.
Yep.
Did we mention him as a three-man already?
We don't usually count writers.
Well, we fucking should, shouldn't we?
We usually just count the egregious faces that sort of haunt our screens, but we should probably also consider the scribes behind the eldritch horrors that are unveiled upon us.
Mate, if we have made an exception for Hans fucking Zimmer, Tim Herlihy is now a three-man. Welcome!
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Films are shit, mate.
Rolling Stone ran an article titled "Why Billy Madison is Still Adam Sandler's Best Movie." It had a budget of $10 million and it made $25 million back. So, Paul, guess the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes scores. So, the Rotten Tomatoes critic score, that is. So, we're going to face off a public versus critic.
Okay, IMDb... Fuck, IMDb is going to be tough because I really can't get inside the mindset of the psychopaths who are going to be voting for Billy Madison. I'm going to say a nice, reasonable 6.4 for IMDb.
A 6.4 for IMDb?
Yeah.
That happens to be exactly right.
Holy fuck, that's fucking crazy.
That's almost as if you read the IMDb page.
I have not read the IMDb page, I swear to God. That's amazing.
God.
That's the best thing I ever did. If I was reading the IMDb page, why would I give you the exact fucking score? Because it's so unlikely. It's too unlikely to be wrong.
That's exactly something someone like you would do.
Alright, if I get the Rotten Tomato score, I am reading these. Alright.
Okay. So Paul has already gauged public consensus.
Opinion.
Yeah.
Fucking exactly. Excellent. Alright, let's see if I can get inside the mindset of my fellow critics. Shit. 39.
Almost. 46%.
Ooh, they liked it a bit more than I expected.
You've underestimated critical love for this film, but overestimated critical hate. So, yeah. To give you a better frame of reference, Metacritic gave it 16%, which is overwhelming dislike.
That is the exact same number they gave to the hateful whatever it was.
The hateful Ridiculous Six.
That's the one, yeah.
And, finally, according to ScreenRant.com, this is Robert De Niro's favourite film for some reason.
Okay, brilliant. That's really good to know. Thanks, Robert De Niro.
What do you think about Billy Madison?
When are we doing the plot?
Oh, yeah. So, Paul, why don't you furnish the audience with a quick plot summary of Billy Madison?
The son of a wealthy hotel magnate, Billy Madison is a man who is either a lazy stoner who doesn't try very hard, or a man with severe learning difficulties who is not getting the support he needs. That's the dichotomy of Sandler. When his father threatens to give control of the hotel chain to an intelligent, attractive, dedicated, and charismatic Bradley Whitford, Madison suggests that he can pass all 12 grades of school in 2 weeks in order to prove that he deserves the company. Thanks to the powers of stupidity and massive corruption, this actually fucking happens. Sandler throws dodgeballs at some kids as hard as he can, making them cry, which he later rationalized as being an okay thing to do because the kids didn't grow up to become anyone important. Seriously, fuck this human being. He inexplicably romances Sonya Blade, and then challenges Bradley Whitford to an academic decathlon, which he doesn't win, but Whitford loses his shit and has to get shot in the ass, and so he gets disqualified. Sandler throws a party, hands control of the hotels over to Mr. Heckles from Friends, and then punches another child literally as hard as he possibly could, hoping against hope that he wouldn't become someone important later. He didn't. It's fine.
Because he's dead.
Yeah.
Killed by Sandler, what an honour. I will have to pick you up on one point. I do think he was 1 point ahead in the quiz, and nobody made any extra points.
Yeah, that's it.
He did win.
He did win. It's the important thing.
And Bradley Whitford was disqualified. So it's a double victory for Adam Sandler. And I think that's the main thing we can take from this.
Yes, he must never be seen to lose, is the thing. And that actually, before I talk about my opinion of the film, is the lesson from this film, is that you ain't cool unless you pee your pants comes from a scene in which he notices that one of his friends has peed his pants. And he has the opportunity to do something good for this kid, and so he splashes water onto his pants, and I think, oh god, he's gonna say, look at, oh no, I pissed my pants, and everyone's gonna be like, ha ha ha, and the other kid can like sneak away or something, thereby saving his faith. Like, he's gonna take the bullet, basically. But instead he says, yeah, I pissed my pants, I'm 10 years old, you're not cool unless you've pissed your pants, and everyone's like, hey, this kid's pissed his pants, and it's like, at no point can he be degraded. Even though he's playing a fool, he has to be on top at all times.
And he is playing a fucking fool.
Yes.
I mean,
it's aggressive.
I should have said that, predictions going into this, I remember really not being on board with Billy Madison. I remember fucking hating Billy Madison.
Was this the one that you revisited?
No,
okay.
No, I'll get onto that later. Okay. But Billy Madison, I remember watching the first 10 minutes of a few years ago again and going, oh no, I hate this.
It's very stacked up in that first 10 minutes.
Shampoo is better. I go on first and clean the hair. Conditioner is better. I leave the hair silky and smooth. Stop looking at me, Swan.
He's either doing a stupid song in a stupid voice, mimicking someone in a stupid voice, or he's glaring at you like a fucking ADHD 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And he just does not deserve any of the good that comes to him.
No.
When he pees his pants, and then he's like, oh, it's cool to pee your pants. I'm going to get chocolate wasted.
Yeah.
Sonya Blade just looks at him to be like, yeah, I'm going to fuck him later. He's brilliant.
What a great guy. Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's really unpleasant and creepy for me, and this happens more so later on, to combine the sort of childish simpleness of the character with the sexuality of the sort of needs of the plot. So, as soon as Sonya Blade gets introduced, it's just like, oh, he's going to fuck her. That's gross, because so far all we've seen him do is hang around with his stoner friends, Norm fucking MacDonald, you know, and so on, just making crap jokes and chasing an imaginary penguin around whilst crossing his eyes and gurning, and it's like, I can't foresee, at this stage, 5 minutes in, the pleasant moment that's going to get me on board with this fucking romance, and there isn't one. He never calms the fuck down.
There isn't no arc for this character.
Yeah.
The only things that change are other people's opinions towards him. But the thing is, I fucking like Bradley Whitford. I love
Bradley Whitford. In this, his character is really great. It's never revealed to us the idea that, oh, he doesn't know how to have fun and therefore he's not going to be a good head of a hotel guy. No, he's fucking worked hard and he's good and qualified for the role, and the dad is an idiot for doing anything otherwise.
Bradley Whitford, oh, what an arsehole for thinking that this was still a meritocracy. A lot of Sandler is, he's the underdog and he's uneducated. He's a regular Joe, and he's just fighting the good fight against the bloody suits, the bloody privileged people who worked really hard their entire lives to get where they were.
Yeah,
and you've got to have, if you're going to be an underdog, you have to earn it. You have to realise that you can't just go around pretending to fall into a lady so you can grab her breasts.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh god, I forgot about that bit. Jesus Christ. Oh, it's only okay because she's used to it for this kind of treatment, which is fucked up.
That's what she says. She's like, it's okay. It's not the first time someone's tried to do that. I was like, that doesn't make it okay.
Definitely not.
Sonya.
Adam Sandler.
You're an apologist for misogyny, Sonya Blade.
You're to blame here. Ultimately, this is very early on showing what the humour of Herlihy and Sandler is, because they mostly wrote the scripts to the 5 films that we're going to discuss. In fact, I think exclusively. Yeah. Maybe the director gets involved every now and then and has a credit as well, but I think Herlihy is credited on all 5. So, and Sandler. So, we're getting used to the comedy here, and we'll get more into it in future ones where it becomes more obvious.
It's pretty lazy and crass and fucking infuriating for most of it, but you can see like the beginnings of something, and you could be forgiven at the time for thinking, well, okay, let's see where this is going. Let's see what they can do, with a bit more practice and a bit more time to stretch their legs. Nothing much more to say about that. Quick score on the laughometer, Paul.
All right, I am going to score these out of 5. Let's give it a 3, because it had a rawness to it that occasionally did get me. Hold on, what is 5 here? Is 5 like airplane, or is 5 like the best that Adam Sandler can be?
Like objective, not just in the not just in the
Oh,
Sandler,
okay, so 5 is like
relative.
airplane? Okay, yes, I'd like to revise to 0.7.
Okay, cool. Well, I can go down to 1.5 then, I think. Biolometer. How's that bubbling up in you?
Yeah, I was pretty irritated by this one because of how upfront and obnoxious the performance was. Like, the stupid voice immediately in your face. I've got to put it in the context of the ones that are coming up. I'm going to say 4.
Okay, I'm going to go for 18 biles, I think, in this one.
Excellent.
And then just stereotypically Sandler, based on the blind prejudice that I said.
This was exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to give it all 5 stars because this is exactly what I feared. 5
Sandlers from me as well, I think. Good stuff. So I think that's about 9 out of 10 for both of us overall.
Excellent.
Fantastic. So what a surprise result. Pretty positive.
Okay, what's our second feature?
Okay, next up is Happy Gilmore.
The second lesson of Sandler. Do you know what the pathetic thing is? You have been doing this your whole life.
Meet Happy Gilmore. He was a hockey player who was skating on thin ice. But when his grandma needed his help...
Coming out in 1996, just 1 year after Billy Madison. I know, how could they do it?
Such a turnaround.
I know. It stars all the regular Sandler players, Dante, Luffren, Covert, but also OGT favourite Christopher McDonald and Julie Bowen of Modern Family fame as the love interest.
Oh no, that's who that is!
Yeah.
Oh,
it's Paul Salt's week.
I'm glad she ends up with Phil. He'll help him get help. He'll help her get over the fucking Sandlerness of it all.
He'll help her with the night terrors. So written once again by Sandler and Herlihy, directed this time by directing Big Cheese Dennis Duggan. Sound familiar? That's because he directed Pieces of Shit, Grown Ups 1 and 2, and Jack and Jill.
What a man!
Say. Its budget was $12 million, and it made $41.2 million back. Okay, then getting back onto those IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes scores, what do you think? How are you with the public? How are you with the critics?
Public, 6.1.
Idiot.
Fuck.
No. 7.
Fuck off!
No? Public pretty positive on Happy Gilmore.
You know what? I should have known because I did know that Happy Gilmore was one of the more financially successful ones, so I figure that would have led to some sort of enduring nostalgia idiocy. Nostalgiacy.
Oh, boo.
Rotten Tomatoes, 36.
You're going to be disappointed.
Is it 48?
You're still going to be disappointed.
58.
Even more disappointed.
Fuck you! 63?
Less disappointed. 60% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Bollocks.
Yeah, afraid so. So you underestimated public love and critical love. You're out of touch, Salt. Adam Sandler plays Happy, not the first and not the last name ending in a Y.
That's good insight.
Happy is a hockey player failure. He's a poor man. He's an underdog. And his dear old gran, who he loves, is getting a house taken away by the bank or something, probably. So she has to go into a nursing home. And Happy Gilmore finds out that he is very, very good at golf, or specifically driving in golf. Carl Weathers turns up and says, hey, I can make you a good golfman. Why don't we enter a competition? You'll win a lot of money. You can pay off your gran's thing. The only problem is Christopher McDonald is very good at golf, and he's an elitist, and you've got to beat him, and he smells probably. They have a bit of back and forth. Christopher McDonald tries to sabotage Happy Gilmore quite a lot because he is very violent and aggressive. Comes to a point, Christopher McDonald tries to kill or injure Happy Gilmore, and he then wins, basically, without trying all that hard. He learns to control his anger. He gets to be with Julie Bowen. Christopher McDonald doesn't get his winner's jacket.
So the one about this I feel is really revealing about Sandler, which is natural ability and dumb luck beats out hard work and dedication. As with the previous film, the enemy absolutely deserves to win. Just because he's a dick doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve what he has. He has golfed his entire life. And Sandler just comes in, but it's like he's too cool to work hard. Is an aspect of the character here, because here he's not doing his stupid, annoying Sandler voice. He's just doing his own stupid, annoying voice. And he's introducing the Adam Sandler that we're more familiar with from things like Grown Ups 2, where he is more of the straight man, but still just a lunatic.
Demonstrably better than Billy Madison, for one thing. Should have to say. Another thing is, despite the fact that I didn't like his character, and I found it pretty Just made me feel really bad that I knew that Julie Bowen was going to be with him come the end of the movie, despite the fact that he's another nincompoop.
Yeah, you can always tell, can't you, when the love interest shows up, and it's never not sad.
No, it's never not sad. Well, we'll get onto that. It's never, but it's
okay.
It's definitely
it's usually sad.
Yeah, but there were more laughs in this one. I definitely enjoyed this more than Billy Madison. And I think the message wasn't quite as grating, even though I did feel bad. I do feel like it's going in the right direction. Having said that, This is also pretty remarkable or notable for being the first film that really wades into product placement. And I like to think this has something to do with Dennis Duggan, as well as Adam Sandler. He literally appears in a Subway advert within the film in order to...
Oh my god, that was amazing.
Let me just sit here and enjoy the one thing that makes me a little bit happy. This fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty, turkey-filled, cold-cut combo. I eat 3 every day to help keep me strong.
Subway sandwiches will drive away your hunger.
The fucking laziness is spectacular, and that's not the only time we're going to see an actual fucking just advert inside of the plot of a movie. It's, crazy.
God, can I just stop talking about my life problems to tell you what a delicious, crispy delight this Subway melt is? Sure, happy, great. It just really is a taste sensation in every bite. It's like a party where nobody came into my drink.
I'll have a pint of baguettes, please. Oh, fuck off. I've heard about you.
You monster. It's you and that French guy who eats planes, better than each other. But at least planes don't need, like, an advertising campaign.
Plain au chocolat?
Hey, have you tried planes? Plain au chocolat's pretty good.
Thanks.
I'm sorry I spoke over it.
It's ruined. Forget it. Let's move on.
It's so lazy, and I think this is my main issue with Adam Sandler movies is not that they're crass or not that they're mean or anything like that. It's just they're so fucking lazy.
Yes, yeah, it's lame. And the thing is, the comedy of this one is all about him getting angry, and some people are inherently funny when they get angry. For example, anyone Scottish. Sandler, it always feels kind of mean and somewhat immature when he gets angry. He never has a good, like, angry scream.
Well, I think the issue is that it happens too often.
Yeah, but remember in Spanglish, we mentioned that in the car, he's always it feels like he's holding back.
Son of a bitch, Paul, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me! Suck my white ass ball!
So I think it did get some things right, and I do think it was pretty remarkable that they put in him being beaten up by Bob Barker.
Yeah, that was a little bit of defeat.
There was one moment there, just one moment of defeat, just to try and, like, hey, let's try something new to get people on the side of Adam. How about if he doesn't win 100% of the time?
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys, he's gonna win.
How about he isn't the one viciously beating people for once, literally once? Maybe people will like him better.
He still manages to get the girl despite not deserving it. He wins the day without really deserving it.
Yeah.
Laughometer, Paul. Laughs.
Laughs, it's still pretty low for me. I really didn't find it funny when he was yelling, but I did quite like Christopher McDonald, so I'll give it, I think, what did I give it? 0.7 last time? Let's move that on up to a 8 point,
An 8?
8.8,
everyone. You heard it here first.
0.85.
Wow, okay. I'm going to go with 2.
Okay.
Laughed a lot more. Bile.
Less hateful because he wasn't playing some sort of hideous caricature. There were fewer jokes at other people's expense. All right, let's go 2 on this one. It's pretty low bile.
For bile, I'm going to say, 2. How Sandler is this?
It's pretty Sandler.
It's quite Sandler.
All right, how Sandler is it? It's one step below. It's 4.5 Sandler.
All right. I'm going to say 3 Sandlers for this.
Okay.
Yeah. 88% there. Brilliant.
Okay.
Positive all round. It's going well, everyone. All right.
Not as shit.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Paul, what's the third feature?
It's The Wedding Singer.
Ah, The Wedding Singer. You're much better than him. He's ridiculous.
Robbie Hart was the most popular wedding singer around until he got stood up at his own wedding.
I woke up this morning and I realized I'm about to marry a wedding singer?
Once again, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
1998 release, directed by Frank Coraci, who also did The Waterboy and Ridiculous Six. The script was
brilliant.
The script was doctored by Carrie Fisher and Judd Apatow, uncredited. I know. A Broadway musical adaptation of this movie opened in 2006, ran for 285 performances, and was nominated for the 2006 Tony Awards for the Best Musical. Actor, Stephen Lynch, book and score. It had a budget of 18 million, and it grossed 123 million worldwide.
Oh, sorry. I just searched my brain for Stephen Lynch, and I arrived at, I think his name is Stephen Lang, the fucking gnarled army guy from Avatar. Book and score.
Yes, okay. So, quickly, before you go into the plot, why don't you tell us the IMDb score and Rotten Tomatoes score? Taking into account that this is widely seen as Adam Sandler's best film.
Yes, people seem to fucking like this one. So, IMDb, 7.8.
6.8.
Okay, that's...
You cretin. You credulous cretin.
I like the fact I got shit for completely 100% accurately guessing the first one, and I've had nothing but shit for being off on every subsequent one.
Different kinds of shit.
Smellier shit, in my opinion. I prefer to be called a cheat, but one who's accurate. Rotten Tomatoes, I'm going to say better than average, but not much. In the 60s?
Yeah.
60?
67.
Oh, okay.
Not bad. Almost there.
Yeah.
You twat. All right, tell us about this plot of The Wedding Singer.
Sandler is a wedding singer and planner. He's the best wedding singer in town.
God, he's actually a planner.
He is a planner as well. You see, he's all of these things. He's
God.
Matthew McConaughey, he's J-Law and J-Lo, every kind of J. He's Jello. It's all good. But after he gets left at the altar by his own fiancée, don't worry, she'll be back later, so he's not like a loser or anything. He doesn't want to wedding sing anymore. He doesn't want a wedding sang. In spite of being the best. Did I mention he's the best? He is the best. He gets
But it's him or John Lovitz.
Oh, fuck me. What a world. He gets involved planning his friend Drew Barrymore's wedding to an asshole. He falls in love with her, not the asshole. There are some misunderstandings, and then ultimately they find themselves on the same plane as each other. He sings her a love song, she agrees to marry him, and the asshole gets eaten by Billy Idol. And that's it. The moral of...
And he digests in Billy Idol's intestines for 1,000 years.
He's very much the Sarlacc of the British punk scene. So that moral, you're better than him, he's ridiculous. The thing I learned about Sandler in this one, and we'll get on to the sort of relative quality shortly, the only obstacle that he will have, Sandler, is that he considers the thing he's really naturally good at to be beneath him. So in this wedding singing, you know, it's no rock singing or anything else, or songwriting. And in the previous one, golfing. He's extraordinarily good at these things, the best, because otherwise John Lovitz is there. And the only...
You've got to be the best if John Lovitz is there. You owe it to
snapping
everybody.
at your heels. The only obstacle that it's kind of cool for him to have, because he can't be bested by anyone. God, no, that would be terrible. The only obstacle is either the fact that he's not rich, or it's the fact that he's just not cool enough to try hard. That was the main thing for me with him.
But he does enjoy wedding singing.
He does, and yet he riles against it. Sort of various points, you know, when he sees John Lovitz saying, "Is that what I look like?" And, you know, pointing out that he's worried about what other people think. And, you know, he has that big insecurity about not making enough money to be good enough for Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. Which could come from something external. When, you know, he is in love with Drew Barrymore's character and he
feels he's not good enough for her.
Yeah, feels he's not good enough for her, and maybe he hadn't
because of his economic status.
That. I don't see that as necessarily thinking that he's above wedding singing, because until that moment he seemed like he was okay with it, and it was only after his fiance jilted him. If you ever jilt me, I'm gonna fucking shit you.
I'm gonna shit all over podcasting.
You can't have a one-man podcast; they don't exist. They're illegal in Australia. They think you're gay. But
clear sign.
I would say that there is a lot that is off about this film. I don't think that the thoughts on love in this film are that on point. Pretty much across the board.
Yeah, I like Drew Barrymore in the role, but I did have trouble buying into the romance of theirs. Okay. There were only a handful of scenes of them sort of honestly talking and connecting with each other, and most of the time it's just, God, my fiance was a twat. That really hurt me. I love my guy, honest, and then uncertain expression, and that's more or less it.
Yeah, but and yet people, the world wide web over, have said, you know, they really believe this relationship, the Barrymore-Sandler relationship, and they've even been in more films together since. I guess.
Well, yes, including Blended,
success.
One of the most critically derided films ever made. It's just
That's not Wedding Singer's fault.
It's the chemistry's fault. The point is the chemistry isn't so great that it's going to save things that don't have their own qualities, and I just didn't necessarily buy into those qualities here.
You know what? This is one of the Adam Sandler films that we've picked where I wasn't sad about the relationship. When they met, I
sad.
Okay, well that's something to.
That is something. I wasn't.
You all
depressed.
heard it, everyone. You can't unhear that. I do think it was believable. I think they had chemistry.
It conforms to the narrative of the previous ones, which is that there is a thing Sandler wants, and there is an arsehole in between him and it. And I will say that in this case, the arsehole is less deserving of having the thing that he wants than he is for once.
Yes, he's a straight up douchebag.
He is a straight up douchebag. The problem is the thing that he wants in this one is just the girl. And she is greatly lacking in any sort of agency to decide who she actually wants to be with. She just wants to be married by any means necessary, which is a symptom of having been written by a man, and especially a man like Tim Herlihy. But is also kind of an issue of the times, because even though romantic comedies were written, marketed towards women in the 90s, it's a common issue that the women would sort of just be with whichever man made the biggest gesture.
Yeah, and I do think that the film deserves a lot of the praise for Sandler's performance, because it's a lot more downbeat and understated at times. He does have a few anger explosions, but they're fewer and further between. And it was something like this that made me think, like, I could see why he was in Punch Drunk Love, for example, which is a real film directed by a real director,
as opposed to one of these children's plays.
Yeah, and I think that he's a lot better. He's a lot better when his comedy is like that. When he's playing a normal person,
yeah,
it is also just a more believable character. And the comedy seemed to come from from realer situations, and he seemed to have realer relationships with his friends. And if he was laughing at their expense, it just felt like ribbing more than anything.
I don't know. There's moments like right at the top, you've got Steve Buscemi giving his really awkward best man speech, and it's all about how pathetic he is, and the audience is encouraged to just laugh at how tragic his situation is. And I still feel uncomfortable about quite a bit of the comedy of this, because it still feels like it's at the expense of people who aren't Sandler and Barrymore. And then there is, of course, the scene, which everyone will point out as being the exception and not the rule as far as this one goes, but it still demonstrates the limitation of Herlihy and Sandler's humour, which is the scene where, just because he happens to be upset, he takes it upon himself to really nastily insult a table full of people at this wedding and a fat guy.
That me, fatty, sideburns lady, and the mutants over at table 9.
Yeah, that's the exception for me.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing, is everyone says, oh, it's the exception of this and you could just cut it out, but they didn't cut it out. It's in there, and it demonstrates what they find funny. And for me, there's little ghosts of it throughout the whole thing. Maybe not something as upfront, but that's the humour.
Yeah, it's still Sandler. It is Sandler. I think it's time to move on.
We should move on.
I don't want to be here all fucking day. Laughs? How are the laughs doing for you?
Not much. I think really the laughs were on par with previous ones. It's just that maybe I felt this one a bit more. So let's say 1.0.
Okay, brilliant.
Highest so far.
I can't remember what I said for Happy Gilmore. I hope I said 2, because I'm gonna say 3 for Wedding Singer.
Cool.
I quite like it. The bile.
Lowest yet.
Yeah.
Still pretty unpleasant here and there, but more or less subdued. So I'm gonna say 2.
Cool. 0.5 for me, baby. How Sandler is this?
I mean, it does what it says on the tin. Really, it's called The Wedding Singer, and it's an Adam Sandler movie. It's surprising in as much as it's not as offensive as I'd have expected. So let's go 2.
Yeah, nice one. I'm going to go for 1. Oh, it's only 20% from both of us. Fucking hell.
Weird. That came out bad. Yeah, totally. Oh,
it's weird. I mean, I'm putting them all through the laugh, bile, and Sandler
a font. Yeah. Film number 4, the penultimate film.
Thank God. The Water Boy.
There's a lot of pain and shame in those eyes.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O.
Bobby Boucher was a lonely boy.
Smelled like you could use a shower, Dickie.
Constantly tormented by everyone until one day they pushed him too far.
Stop making fun of me.
So The Waterboy follows a simple man called Bobby Boucher, who is a Louisianan resident. Mother is Kathy Bates,
yep.
Bit of an overbearing tough-loving sort of individual.
Bit of a Kathy Bates type.
Bit of a Kathy Bates type, if you could believe such a thing. He is the water boy to a college football team. And he's picked on relentlessly by all the douchebag jocks in this team and then fired for being picked on. And then he decides to look for another waterboy job and comes across hapless Henry Winkler, as he's known in the streets, who runs a bit of a fuck-up football team. It turns out that he's a very good tackle boy. Yeah. And Henry Winkler says, finally, I've got a good football player. And then he manipulates his insecurities and anger in order to get him to tackle people real good for a number of games, long enough to actually get them to the final. It turns out that Henry Winkler falsified his documents from high school so that he couldn't play, but then he can play because he did another test. He faced Bradley Whitford from grades 1 to 12 in a big old exam competition.
He gets shot in the ass.
Then he gets shot in the ass. He wins the big game for everybody, and he gets the girl, and his mother becomes less overbearing.
His girl this time is the girlfriend from American History X. So it gradually gets worse.
Reprising her role.
It gradually gets worse for everyone. So Sonya Blade does end up with Johnny Cage. Awkward.
Whoops.
Then Modern Family, now American History X.
But this is another relationship that I don't feel bad about.
I didn't feel great
because she is the strong one in this relationship.
Yes.
It doesn't start with her hating him.
Yeah,
she is with him from the very start, and she's a pretty strong female character. She doesn't need any encouragement to take a knife to somebody's throat, and I like that in a woman.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, I like her as a character. I think she frightens me a bit. The actress, I wrote her down.
Yes, Fairuza Balk.
Yes, she scares me a little, and always has done.
She frightens everyone.
It might be The Craft. It might be her early appearance in The Craft that did it.
Yeah, it's not helped by American History X.
It's not, no, because she did slip into that role very neatly as the girlfriend of a Nazi head stomper. It's the part you were born to play. I don't know how to feel about that. There's money in it.
Say thank you.
Okay. I hope the director's nice. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Anyway. So the thing I had against the relationship is I just couldn't necessarily see what it is that's in it for her, and I always get a bit worried about relationships that have been written by men, especially when one of the stars is one of the writers, when it's just like, from the fantasy perspective, the guys get to imagine that they're Adam Sandler here and they get the girlfriend from American History X. For the ladies...
None of that is realistic.
For the ladies...
No one wants that. Yeah.
Oh, man. I just want someone to accept my head stomping, okay? The ladies, they get to end up with Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, and I guess it's extremes. They are basically diametrically opposed.
Yes.
In almost every way, except that she happens to like him.
Yeah, which is fine. That's opposites attract. We've seen that in fiction before. Yeah. I just didn't really get what was in it for her, about him, how he was different from all the other guys.
Well, he is different from all the other guys. That's for sure.
That's fair enough.
And I will also say that I really like Kathy Bates in this.
Yeah, sure.
And she was probably one of the funnier things in the film for me.
There were a couple of moments that she had that did really make me laugh.
And I liked Henry Winkler.
Yep, I like him too.
I did.
Almost immediately. Early on, he sort of smiles, and it's just like, oh, you're great.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I feel better about this. And I think that's one of the reasons I feel better about it is because he has all these sympathetic characters. It's not just everyone is a dick and everyone is horrible.
Yeah, that's the lesson I learned from this one. This was my epiphany number 4. Sandler wants to play the underdog, the poor guy, the slow guy, the guy that everybody picks on, and he wants to have sympathy with the character, but he does also definitely want the audience to laugh at him too, to laugh at those gags. Otherwise, they wouldn't just take up so much space and time in this supposed comedy movie. He doesn't try to win the audience over necessarily. He wants them to be in on the joke as to how dumb or ugly the character is. Very much like Bucky Larson, I found, because of the amount of time that was spent laughing at his buck teeth and such. But there are a lot more Christina Ricci scattered around the place in this one. And
it's also the fact that the people who are insulting him, like Loughran, who, by the way, doesn't have a cross eye. He doesn't suffer from boss-eyedness. It's
he does.
It's just this one.
When he's at the party later on, and he brings the thing and he says thanks, he definitely has a cross eye at that stage.
No, in this film, sorry, he does, but in a future film, he doesn't.
Oh my god!
We were discussing this in another film because we weren't sure.
My god!
But I know, guys, it's all coming together, guys. It's worth it. Stick with us. Loughran, Dante, The Big Show, everyone who's laughing at him, they're all painted as fucking idiots, hicks, or assholes.
Yeah.
They're not as articulately awful in this as in Bucky Larson, I think.
I was worried that you would sort of justify the rough treatment that the water boy receives by saying that he is portrayed sympathetically and that the bullies are ultimately proven wrong in the end, therefore it's okay for the movie to do it. And this would therefore sort of invalidate my very real discomfort about these scenes.
I notice sometimes when you are wrestling or opening up a can of whoop ass, as you like to say, you seem to be sweating quite profusely. I was wondering if perhaps you might need the services of an experienced water boy.
I guarantee that guy's still a virgin.
And having them in a comedy movie. But that's why this revelation was so important to me. Because I really definitely think the film urges us to find these scenes funny, regardless of whether or not they're an asshole, because everybody's an asshole in these movies. Sandler and Herlihy want to have their sympathetic character, but also make fun of him, and they do think it's funny, because otherwise he wouldn't be introduced in a sort of objectively absurd manner where he comes on with his little smile, and it lingers for a really long time on him doing this smile, which he doesn't do that much throughout. But the camera lingers, and it's very much just so the audience can stop laughing at his just his face before anyone has said anything to him. Just his face and his voice, and I find that really spiteful. And I think this hypocrisy that I've written a line in my notes here. Compare to Derek if you absolutely have to. I'm gonna break that out. In Ricky Gervais's Derek, he plays a disabled person, and it's not terribly PC. But at no point are we encouraged to just laugh at Derek because of who he is. At any stage in that, and that's something that it has in its favour. This, I really do feel like they found the character they had made funny because of his slowness, and, you know, maybe he's good-natured because he has to be the hero of a movie, but I still feel like we're being encouraged to laugh here.
I'm towing a fine line, because I know it's very low-hanging fruit. If it's horrible, it was out of carelessness rather than straight-up spite.
I just see it as a really uncomfortable relationship that this movie has with its main character.
Fair enough. Let's go from abusing a disabled person straight on to talking about laughs. Why don't you rate the laughs in this film, Paul?
Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. 0.05. No, let's say 0.8.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go with 3 again.
Ooh.
I laughed. I didn't laugh. It was about the same as The Wedding Singer.
Okay.
Humour moments, man. And also, speaking of humour moments, let's just fully segue from everything I say into bile.
Yeah. Well, as discussed, it was pretty bad for me. I really did feel it was a bit gross, so I've lost all track of what I've given other films, so
yeah, fuck
it.
Oh, it's like Goodreads.
5. Let's give it the full... both barrels.
Ooh.
Fuck you, Adam Sandler. Yeah. Bile gun.
Patent pending. I'm gonna go with...
We don't want to patent this.
2.5, I think. How Sandler was this film, Paul?
Oh, fuck, I forgot there's more of this. I keep, breathing in to say the first sentence of the next fucking movie, and it's like, nope, another thing. Yeah, it's pretty Sandler. All 5 Sandlers. This is exactly what I expect a Sandler movie to be.
Yeah, I'm going to say 4 Sandlers. Take off a point because of the lack of bile.
What's the final movie that we decided to watch, Paul?
The final one, mercifully, is Little Nicky.
That Petit Nicky.
Le Grand... Oh.
The teaching for this one? Put it in your mouth and let the meat slide down your throat hole.
Pretty apt and gross.
Meet Nicky.
Hello, friend.
It's his first day in New York City. But for Nicky, this is a picnic compared to where he's from. Hell.
Starring Rhys Ifans, Patricia Arquette, Tommy Lister, Reese Witherspoon, Rodney Dangerfield, Dana Carvey, John Lovitz, Quentin Tarantino, and Harvey Keitel. Brilliant.
Oh, is Adam Sandler not in this one? Thank God.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we can probably get on with this then. So, going on the rising success of all past Adam Sandler movies, this had a budget of 85. This had a budget of $85 million and grossed only $39.5 million. I wonder why. So going on with that, why don't we go into the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes score, Paul?
I bet IMDb's fucking unrealistically high. 7.8.
18.3. No,
Fuck everything.
It's... You'll be glad to know that you are wrong.
5.9.
Even... Well, it's still wrong.
4.9.
Oh, less wrong.
I'm pretty sure I'm... I hate this. 5.2.
Oh, 5.3.
Fuck.
Almost, you twat.
Jesus.
Yeah, sorry. You fucked it up again.
God, this is such good podcasting is the thing. Rotten Tomatoes, 83.
Think like a critic. Think like a critic who has no fun.
4.
Oh, almost. 22.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, get in there. I'm feeling more diplomatic towards your constant mistakes in this field, but...
Fucking nailed that first one, though.
I know. Oh, mate, we'll always have the first one. We'll always have 6.4.
I'll never forget that fucking number. The fact that the Hovis ad is actually the second movement of the Ninth Symphony of Dvorak. Nope, that's gone. 6.4 is what Billy Madison.
I'm scratching it into my face right now, listeners.
Speaking of which...
Yeah, why don't you just upend the viscous plot onto our dear listeners?
Yep, let's see what see what plops out. Okay. As with most Sandler movies, it actually starts with a fucking horror scene in which a creepy pervert stalks a poor woman and her son, all three of whom are played by Lynch regular Laura Harring. He makes an obscene phone call to the son and then falls out of a tree and goes to hell. That's right, hell is real. Isn't Sandler Jewish? Never mind, hell! Where the devil is played by Harvey Keitel. And he's retiring after 10,000 years. Have there been people going to hell for that long? Yup, you don't want to know what the fucking cavemen were up to. He's passing the mantle on to one of his 3 sons, Rhys Ifans, Tom Lister Jr., and worst of all, Adam Sandler. Only he bloody well decides not to retire, so his 2 slightly less awful sons go to Earth to create a new hell there, causing the dad to decompose or some shit. Sandler is sent to Earth to eat delicious Popeye chicken. It's practically food.
Popeye's chicken is fucking awesome.
Drink Coca-Cola, go to Kmart, drink Miller's beer, visit the Globetrotters, and wear Adidas shoes. Also, after he does all of those things, he sends his brother back to hell, gets off with Patricia Arquette. Everyone makes fun of an effeminate man and are revolted by a cross-dresser. A talking dog fucks a rat, and the movie bombed at the box office for some reason.
Yeah, can't imagine why.
Who knows?
Is there no hell in the Jewish faith?
It's complicated. Nevertheless, It is not a place of torment, if it does exist, but more a place of sort of cleansing before you pass on to back to the original Garden of Eden.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Religious corner. That's the end of that segment.
That's what I learned in RE in between fucking Kevin Smith movies.
Wow. We didn't. We just had lessons on, it's Gandhi this week, everyone.
He was good.
All right.
He was Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, and then we did Martin Luther King at Christmas. That was about it.
He was David Oyelowo. You don't know things.
No, Idris Elba, mate.
He was also... Wait, who did you say? Martin Luther King, right? Yeah. That was Oyelowo.
Yeah, no, I was just joking.
Oh,
saying
okay.
Idris Elba because he was Nelson Mandela.
You have to wear your joking hat. Put it on now.
I lost it. A bird took it.
Fuck. Now that bird is going to be incredibly incredulous amongst his friends.
Oh, Little Nicky. I used to love this as a kid. I thought it was great and inventive. Yeah.
All right. Was this the one that you revisited?
No, I actually revisited The Wedding Singer.
Oh, right, okay.
And went, it's not as good and perfect as I thought. Yeah, I thought this was great. I watched it many a time. I thought Rhys Ifans was great. I loved John Lovett's character for some reason. Adam Sandler was fine. You know, what else can I fucking say? There's nothing else to it really. I guess I thought that the talking dog was funny. I don't know.
It was a thing in the 90s, right? Because of fucking Men in Black and this. That's 2 examples.
Yeah, coming back to it, I mean, what can I take from it? I don't know. I genuinely thought Quentin Tarantino was funny.
Hellfire is burning me alive! The beast is alive! He's among us! Clear the street!
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought he was really funny.
I still found it pretty uncomfortable.
There is just the absurdity of it, I think, was good. And I think there are a couple of like Mel Brooks beats in it. There are still a few jokes that I liked. I really appreciated the 90s, the early noughties metal soundtrack.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
Great. That really took me back. But I mean, it's weak. It's a fucking weak film, and it's just Popeye's chicken all the way through.
Yeah, it really is. It's quite obscene. I've actually just noticed, that none of the good things I wrote down for this one are jokes. And actually, I don't think I actually laughed out loud once. So,
oh really?
Yeah, this might actually be the weakest one for comedy for me. Yeah. As for the product placement, this is what my lesson of this one was, which was, this was the first one that felt like the Sandler that we know and loathe. This was Jack and Jill Sandler. It was a big production, lots of extras, lots of people around. You know, it's the sort of big budget Sandler that he later kind of does with the end of his studio phase that was kind of killed off by Pixels. And the thing I learned is that Sandler identified a niche and then went about cynically and lazily milking it for all it was worth. And he hit his breaking point twice, with this, which bombed, and then Pixels, which also bombed, and that seemed to sort of trap him in Netflix forever. So I guess what I learned from this one is just that this is the Sandler product. This is the one that was going out to cinemas, and I feel like it was marketed for kids as well, in spite of all of the really gross adult humor jokes and the really nasty, rapey opening sequence, which genuinely upset me. It was kind of like a scene out of fucking Zodiac.
Who is this? This is a big bird who wants to see the rest of Mommy.
It's just, ugh.
Yeah, he's really honed his product. He's refined it into this defanged milk toast. Vaguely crude.
That's just because they can't write different humor. This is their humor. If they didn't put crude jokes in about, transsexuals being kind of gross, then they'd have nothing else. They don't have like wordplay or anything.
Comedy, even Sandler manages to surprise us every once in a while and do something that's funny. And I think I found that in the films that we saw prior to this.
Yeah.
But in this, there's pretty much nothing from Sandler anyway. There's not really anything more to talk about with this one. It's just refined, homogenous Sandler.
I didn't time this well, so I watched all of these movies in the order we've discussed them in the course of the week, and I think maybe by the time I got to today, I was just tired. Coming at the end of things like fucking Billy Madison, it's more of the same, on a bigger scale.
I have had a mini revelation.
Oh.
When you look at the release dates for these movies, they are pretty much within a year of each other. Two of them are in the same year. So maybe he realised that if he just doesn't give anyone a time to reflect and reel and recover and grieve from these movies, then he can keep everyone on the back foot, and nobody really knows. Nobody really knows until it's 20 years later and he's earning 25 million for every movie.
Yeah. All right, let's quickly round off this one, and then we can have a bit of a discussion about Sandler as a human being. So,
final time, the laughs.
None, zero. I didn't laugh.
Yeah, one for me.
Okay,
I laughed a couple of times.
Okay,
the bile.
God, it should be stronger. I feel bad that I've been desensitized. I should be more worked up about this. Tell you what, play it safe. 5.
All right, cool. I'll go for 2. Just to 7's pretty good. 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Finally, how Sandler is this, Paul?
Yeah, this is Sandler. I mean, like I said, we watched it when in RE class when I was a kid, so I guess I kind of had it in mind. Oh, we didn't really discuss Sandler's performance in this. It's a different brand of annoying. His sort of raspy voice rather than his high-pitched, light voice.
Plus, the Prince of Darkness should have sort of a distinguished look to him, and let's face facts, I'm no George Clooney.
He himself is fairly bland, and he's not really given any character moments as such to really develop as a person. He's not the worst.
No, which is nice, So Sandlerness?
Oh, Sandlerness? 4.
Yeah, I'd say 4. Billy Madison hits the 5, and I think nothing can quite match that until we get to Jack and Jill and Grown Ups 2.
Yeah.
But round 4 for Shittle Nicky. Yes! I'm sorry, everyone. It's the best I could do.
Pixels was the last big blockbuster of Sandler's career. Since then, it's all been Netflix movies of varying levels of success. As far as the cinema goes, he might be done. He might not come back because working with the studios was pretty stressful for him and not a good vehicle for him, if there is such a thing. The question is that a shame? Do you buy into Sandler's narrative that, the Sandler narrative, but in real life, that he is a guy with potential, with skill, who has squandered it by being lazy? Or is it just the case that he was never that good?
Where he really has skill is under the direction of others.
Yes.
With a script not of his own making.
Or Tim Herlihy's.
They're one and the same. If one commits a crime, I'm taking them both down. But under good direction, good script, and in dramatic roles, because I think the least infuriating one that we've had on OGT, I think, was Spanglish.
Yeah.
And he was half that way. Punch Drunk Love, I know you still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But Paul Thomas Anderson gets a great performance out of him. It's really good. And yesterday I actually ended up seeing the Meyerowitz story because, far be it from me to be happy with just 5 Adam Sandler films in a week. And he was excellent in it. He was genuinely great. So it showed he's got the ability, and there was a kind of there's a tragic comedy in everything he did in this in Meyerowitz stories.
Yeah,
that's the best kind of like, my favorite Ben Stiller performance is the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah,
because there's tragedy in comedy, and comedy in tragedy, and he is capable of doing that. He's got that when it comes to actually creating the thing himself. Maybe he just doesn't have the motivation to do it properly. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Or he doesn't have the ability to sort of render any sort of vision of his own. Because I haven't seen Meyerowitz stories, and I also haven't seen Punch Drunk Love, and I haven't seen Funny People, which is the other one people often laud.
Of course, yeah, which I also love. I also think is brilliant.
Yeah. So maybe he's a good performer when he's playing, because he always seems to be playing something similar to himself. He's never gone way out there and playing someone just completely different well.
Yeah.
And when he's being directed by a great director, because all 3 of these films are very good directors. But I personally, I don't feel he has much. So far from what I've seen, he doesn't have that much talent. Not as a filmmaker, and not as a comedian for me. I went back and watched some of his SNL stuff, the Hanukkah song, and the various other things, the Dinner Lady thing. I don't get it. It's not clever. It's not particularly subversive to me. Maybe it was very time specific. Consequently, I've just never really cared for or related to him in a performance. And I think he got the career that he wanted and the career that he deserved. And I'm just a little sad that it was so successful for so long. But there's an extra little post-epiphany here. And it comes from, I think it was The Wedding Singer. You'll have to help me with this. They're talking about Happy Days. And they're talking about how no one wants to see a 50-year-old Henry Winkler try and pick up chicks.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I think similarly, no one wants to see a 50-year-old Adam Sandler gurn and do a silly voice. Even the people who used to like it. The immaturity kind of gets sadder as it goes. And you have people like Rick Mayall who kept it going, but there was always a tragedy to the immaturity of Rick Mayall, which just got more profound and funnier as he went on. If this experiment has proven anything to me, it's that his act hasn't changed. The context has, and maybe, just maybe, the audience has too.
And if all he can do now is prop up Netflix so they can go on producing
films like Annihilation,
films like Annihilation, then fine.
Yeah. All right. Shall we quickfire?
Sure.
Quickfire.
I liked every Steve Buscemi appearance.
Yeah, I really liked his appearance at the end of Billy Madison, where he shows up to shoot the guy in the ass and then just gives a big smile to the camera.
And his entrance to that movie as well, where Billy Madison calls him up to apologise for being a dick to him in high school.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, cool, thanks, man. Thanks, I appreciate that. And he hangs up the phone, leans over to a list of people to kill, crosses out Billy Madison's name, puts on lipstick and lies back as psychedelic rock starts playing. It was the best bit of that movie by far.
Okay. I like the sort of bio sound and aesthetic at the beginning of Waterboy. Yeah. It really reminded me of Hard Target. Just a little bit of Creole in there to make me wish I had Jean-Claude Van Damme in a fucking mullet, slowly motorcycling through an explosion. But no, it had to be an Adam Sandler film.
If only someone would have had a bottomless cartridge. I'm going to go ahead and say I think Alan Covert is a versatile actor.
Well, I don't know which one that is.
So he was Otto in Happy Gilmore, the homeless guy. In The Wedding Singer, he was Sammy, the womanizing friend.
Okay.
In Little Nicky, he was possibly gay actor.
Oh, yeah.
The butt of everyone's jokes in Little Nicky. And he's
varied.
I never really noticed. Yeah, it's definitely varied.
It is.
And despite the fact that, the characters are always pretty shallow and the films are always pretty shit, he's always given pretty decent performances, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like Carl Weathers in Happy Gilmore. He lends a sort of authority. The mentor figures that he has, the sort of Henry Winklers and the Carl Weathers and, etc., they're almost always, or the Billy Idols, they're almost always quite fun to have around.
Yeah. Did you appreciate his return in Little Nicky?
Oh, yes, that was fun.
Sure, why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not?
Speaking of that as well, I really enjoyed Reese Witherspoon in Little Nicky.
Yeah, she was great.
Just nice to see her after everything.
I like Reese Witherspoon. Speaking of Little Nicky, they used the song Bohemian Like You by the Dandy Warhols.
Yes.
Which I really liked.
Cool.
None of them are pedophiles, right?
Time will tell.
Shit. You also have to check. My one would be the principal of the testing school. He gives a pretty interesting performance in Billy Madison. The school is actually conducting the test. And of course, there's his legendary response to Billy Madison's answer to one of the questions.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yes.
Which is great, but it's then sort of, underscored by Adam Sandler at the end saying, well, a simple no would have been fine. And it's like, no, it wouldn't. This movie needed that.
Yeah. I feel like Sandler needed that. Maybe it was ad-libbed.
The world needed that. Thank God the camera was on him.
It's like Woody Allen sneezing into the cocaine. It's that all over again.
What is this? Is it comedy? And Tim Herlihy's there, and he's just like, what is this? What's happening to me? No one's getting hurt. What's happening?
Quick, Adam, say something.
Kick someone. Hit a child as hard as you can.
I really like all the stunt work in The Waterboy. I thought there was a lot of really good sports tackles.
Oh, it was interesting to note that Dennis Duggan used to do interesting things with his camera at one stage. Like when a ball gets hit with his cock. He used to do very interesting things. He used to paint his balls brown and paint the cock yellow to make it look like a cheeseburger.
Paint them brown to pretend his willy was having a poo. Very clever.
Look at this. Everybody, if you'll observe my testicles. I think you'll find that it appears that my lengthy python is doing a bit of a poo.
Oh, cut. Okay, Carmen Philpy, the old man in the bar, also played the Reverend in Halloween 4. Paul.
Great.
Yep.
I'm on board.
There's a bit where Alan Covert says, I just want somebody to hold me and tell me that everything's going to be all right. And then screen left, he comes in slowly and awkwardly hugs him and goes, everything's going to be all right.
And Covert doesn't shrug away from it, which is quite cool.
Yeah. He accepts the hug.
Yeah. I like the song he sang on the plane.
Yeah.
Because a recurring element has been the idea that it's the little things that matter.
Yeah.
And the song, for the most part, focuses on those little things that he would do for her.
I'll get you medicine when your tummy aches. Build you a fire if the furnace breaks. Oh, it could be so nice growing old with you.
And that's cute.
I also like his Cure-inspired song.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the there were some really good sort of comedic facial expressions and some good switching of mood. It subverted my expectations.
Left me here all alone, tears running constantly. Oh, somebody kill me, please! Somebody kill me, please!
I like Derek from The Waterboy, the friend that he makes on the team. And when they first...
D'Angelo from The Wire.
Oh, fuck me, so it is!
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe that's it. He's got a great smile. But
gotta be it.
A lovely line early on when, Adam Sandler says something like, my grandmother says that, or my mama says that, and he says something. He looks at him like skeptical, and then it breaks, and he's like, oh, my mama says that too. He's like, aw.
Yeah. Aw.
Oh, D'Angelo. Do you die? Probably. You probably die.
He's probably shot in the back of the head at point blank range.
By a child with a cocaine habit. It was a great show.
Rock and Roll by Gary Glitter was in Happy Gilmore. That was great.
Remember that? Good time?
Not really a good thing. More like the one paedophile thing.
I'm not letting you introduce that aspect to our show. Stop asking.
Look, nobody else has it.
Think of the niche. We'll finally be able to beat Nigel Farage's podcast. They'll come for the paedophiles.
Stay for the paedophiles.
Rhys Ifans did look fabulous in Little Nicky. I mean, fucking hell, that costume and his hair, and that is a handsome man.
Rhys Ifans, handsome man, agreed.
Yeah, and he had a bit of a Rick Mayall thing going on, but in a handsome way. Which Rick Mayall did actually have. He just spent his entire career
hiding
it behind horrific expressions that he had. It's like the old Chinese man from The Prestige. He lived the lie. He was always out in public gurning. So only when he got home, he sort of, cricked his neck and turned back into the suave motherfucker he actually was.
Chris Farley scowling so hard that his face went red on the bus was really good, I thought.
Oh, I really like the cheerleaders from The Waterboy, who are these sort of really fucking haggard, smoking, drinking. Like, every time it cuts over to them, it's like a scene from Casablanca or something. Like Rick's fucking bar. And I really like that as a gag, but it works better as just a random cutaway or something in the background. They focus on it just a little too often for my liking, but I really like the idea that the cheerleaders have just gone feral due to lack of enthusiasm.
Now, look, in Happy Gilmore, there's a bit at the beginning, and they keep showing him using things as a cock. And there was an escalation.
Oh, yeah.
And finally he uses a broom. And it was such a stupid joke, but it was a really good repetition. And it was just timed just so that it did actually make me laugh. I feel better.
It's okay. I accept you like this. But I am going to need you to try and change.
No.
But I totally accept you. But thanks, not like this. What's his name? Fucking Happy Days. He comes for dinner.
Yeah.
Not Roseanne. What's her name? Misery. She's serving up. She's serving up Snake. Dolores Claiborne is serving up Snake. There's an obscure pull for you.
Beyond me.
It's the better Stephen King adaptation.
I don't fucking know. Okay.
I'm not even awake. Oh, he asks what part of the snake is this. I think it's him. It might have been the girlfriend.
Yes, it's him.
And the mother says snakes don't really have parts as such, but I guess this would be the knee. I think she says knee or ankle. Yeah, that's pretty good.
The lines.
Son of a bitch, Paul! Why didn't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home?
Really did make me laugh.
When he is read the message that his girlfriend isn't showing up for the wedding, the string section, which is playing something, I can't remember what it is, suddenly go really dissonant. Oh, it's Journey.
Don't Stop Believing?
Yeah, Don't Stop Believing, of course.
Brilliant.
Sopranos tune. Deep pull for some people.
Stop deep pulling.
Never.
The infrastructure can't withstand it.
One more obscure cultural reference and the whole podcast is gonna crumble. It's gonna crumble like the towers of the temple that Hercules pushed.
Oh, you just did one!
No, nothing happened there because I'm pretty sure it wasn't Hercules who did that, but it was Samsung, in fact. No!
Implodes in a Sandler way.
My podcast was made of shit. The strings go dissonant, and the camera sort of, I think there might even be a dolly zoom. No, it's a slight pan, that's it. There's a slight pan.
Okay.
Yeah, and it moved the world for me, literally, because it panned.
I think setting The Wedding Singer in the 80s lent it a sort of validity, I think. Like a time and a place.
Yeah, I did wonder...
That was semi-evoked.
I did wonder how much of the niceness of his character came from his 80s haircut.
Like Samson, sort of.
Oh, I think I figured out that I like golf because of all of this. Like during the Happy Madison, whenever it cuts back to them and it's like, oh, good, they're going to play golf again. I get to watch like nice scenes of them outdoors, in a big green with lots of woods and water features.
Are you just comparing this to an Adam Sandler performance though? Because that's
Probably.
not liking golf.
That's the only way in which I like things. My life is made up of things I would rather do than watch Adam Sandler do anything.
Paul, I think I like punching my penis back into my body. Huh.
I'll endorse you for that on LinkedIn. He's great at it. Okay, I'm going to invite this guy to interview. I don't think he's right for this, but I got to see this.
You just got to get the interview, that's the thing.
When you get in there, that's when you fucking wow.
That's when you fucking shine, Samson. Jonathan Loughran in The Waterboy, his cross-eyed, horrible jock bastards. His horrible monotone laughter was quite funny, I thought.
Cool. Okay, we didn't really talk about this in Wedding Singer. I had really mixed feelings about the way in which the film treated the character of George, the transvestite character.
Yes.
I was a little worried that maybe we were being encouraged to laugh at her expense, but regardless of that, I'm not sure if she wants to be identified as a she or a he. I'll call her she for now. Until she calls in.
Well, he actually died.
And corrects us.
He died a man, the guy who played him.
Oh, really?
Alexis Arquette.
Okay.
Yeah.
In any case, she had a really cool singing voice. I really liked his or her performance of the Boy George song.
Yeah. Gatorade.
What was that from?
That's the Water Boy.
Okay.
When he's manipulating Bobby Boucher and he starts seeing Henry Winkler's face on all these people taunting.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right, I remember now.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes that was really creepy. Like, the fucking baby head thing that Henry Winkler starts imagining, that was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Also on The Waterboy, I did really like the line that he has of...
Coach, not only will I do it for you, yes, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, that's great. There's a good... the cake feeding scene in the Wedding Singer made me laugh twice. First, they're passing wedding cake to each other to try, and they're popping it in each other's mouth. And then Alan Covert goes to feed Adam Sandler, and he recoils and takes it himself. And then he turns around, and then there's that horrendous-looking woman out of nowhere. And that made me laugh twice. And then Julia Gulia, when she's breaking down in front of the mirror, trying to introduce herself with her new husband's surname. It was a really good really good performance from Drew Barrymore there, I thought.
It was, and it led into a moment I liked where she starts thinking about Adam Sandler, and he sees her through the window and assumes that she's actually thinking about her husband.
Yes.
And is happy for that reason. And it had a sort of poignancy of him seeing her happy and not realizing it's because that she's thinking of him.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the greatest love story of all time, The Terminator. Alright, the final good thing that we have here is that almost regularly the success of the drama of the film depended upon the production being able to recast someone less likable than Adam Sandler. And as a result, they depended upon these astonishing actors. How many can we identify here? You've got very absolutely Bradley Whitford from Billy Madison, who is brilliant from his first scene. His smile.
Well, maybe if you told me there were delicious Triscuit crackers, I could have enjoyed them with you.
I'm sorry.
Well, sorry doesn't put the Triscuit crackers in my stomach, now does it, Carl?
He's fabulous during the fight at the end. And my favorite moment of his, it's an actual funny visual gag. He gets a thing out of the oven and it's caught fire.
Yes.
And then his gloves are on fire, and then it cuts away, and when it cuts back, he is entirely immersed in fire.
Yeah.
It's an excellent escalation gag.
That was pretty much my favourite joke in the whole film.
One of the two that actually made me laugh out loud. Then Happy Gilmore, you've got, what's the name of the actor?
Christopher McDonald
of superhero movie fame.
Yeah.
He's got this great face. He's really good at looking indignant, as he did in superhero movie. But my favourite moment is... Adam Sandler has a nightmare sequence where he imagines him with his girlfriend, like leaning in to kiss her. And just before he goes in for the kiss, he looks at the camera and gives a really great sneer, and then he leans in, and it's fucking great.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything particularly good about the arsehole from The Wedding Singer. Do you?
No.
I will say a good moment came out of it, kind of, which is in the scene where he finally admits to Adam Sandler that he's cheating on Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
I did like Adam Sandler's reaction shot. Where he's like clearly disgusted but trying to hold it in check. That was good.
Yeah, this is that downbeat stuff that I like. More downbeat.
He should have told her. He was obligated to tell her straight away about the cheating, though. That wasn't his call to make.
Yeah.
But, you know.
For love.
I don't remember much about the arsehole in Waterboy, the other coach.
No, he was pretty secondary to Henry Winkler, I think.
Yeah. And then you've got fucking Rhys Ifans.
Yeah.
And Little Nicky, who, as we've already discussed... is pretty fucking fun.
He's a flamboyant, fucking fun factory.
Funner.
Yeah.
Great arsehole selection, Adam Sandler.
How about we go over to the OGT?
Let's go over to the OG team.
Nice. All right. The Flicks Forecast said, bringing Carl Weathers back to relevancy in Happy Gilmore. That man is a national treasure.
Was he ever not relevant, guys? Carl Weathers was fucking Predator, and he was Apollo Creed.
Yes. Queen Baz at Jen Blundell said, I remember really enjoying Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, and Mr. Deeds as a kid, and I still like 50 First Dates. Plus, your Grown Ups 2 episode is utterly hilarious. Well, you know, I listened to it again just yesterday, in fact. I'm glad his legacy helped produce that. So, I mean, you can't disagree with that.
Well, no, I mean, that
true.
is clearly a masterpiece of form and function.
Yeah. Baby Beard Media says he donated some money to some kids once.
Yeah. Again, he does also throw dodgeballs at them as hard as he can.
To make them cry.
So, yeah. And then later does say that it doesn't really matter because I don't know who they grew up to be. A mixed bag in terms of kid treatment.
Yeah. Mixed. Blockbusters podcast said he was actually phenomenal in the Meyerowitz stories, as in seriously good. And I agree, Mr. Busters.
Okay, well, I'll have to find out for myself.
Yes, you will. The Smash List said, I spend so much time discussing why Happy Gilmore is better than Billy Madison, so that should be my answer. And I mean, that is true. And I feel like it is a worthy thing to point out that Billy Madison is shit. And again, Brody's Kitchen said, Happy Gilmore's hilarious. #YesShooter. And there's a lovely gif of Christopher McDonald just powing after doing a good golf.
Well, McDonald is very good.
Yeah. Matthew Whitaker said, Punch Drunk Love is a beautiful film. He has so many great movies. The last 10 years or so has been hard as hell, though.
Those are the exceptions because he has great direction.
Yes.
I really just don't know how much of a well of greatness there is within the man himself, but I haven't actually seen those movies. So
And you must. I don't know if I've said so, but you must.
I'll add it to the list of things I absolutely must do.
Excellent.
And with any luck, it'll fall into the much, much smaller pile of things that I actually will do.
Janelle Nell Heald says, I watched Billy Madison and the Meyerowitz stories one after the other, and the transition from an asinine piece of shit to a compelling, sympathetic character was a happy shock. The man can act if he tries to.
Ah.
So just like Paul can clean the toilet if he tries to. Oh.
It's just like Goodman can fuck right off
if he tries to. Admit One Movies says Airheads, which is still great fun. The Wedding Singer, to be honest, just about anything with Drew Barrymore. Happy Gilmore and The Waterboy are okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's moments like this. I feel like comedy is a bit like music. If a kind of comedy just doesn't make you laugh, it can be very alienating.
Yes.
Very hard to explain. No, that's not doing it for me.
Yeah, for sure. But I would also challenge everybody who has contributed to the quickfire this week to go back and watch 5 films like we've just done, and then come back to us
as they were meant to be consumed.
Well, he did fucking release them once a year for 5 years, 2 a year sometimes. Thanks, OGT.
Thanks, guys. Okay, now let's just talk about the one better thing. The one better thing. I believe that you could have a much better experience if you're going to revisit a 90s comedy star. I think you're going to be much better off with Jim Carrey. And I haven't actually done this, sort of one a day for a week, so maybe...
Continue, because I can just block me out.
Jesus, no! Fuck! Fucking hell! I haven't actually done this, but I just imagine they hold up better. And maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe we should actually do this one day and see if they actually works out better. But if you were to pick out 5 from the 90s and 1 from a bit later, you could have, in place of Billy Madison as the sort of breakout hit, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Mm-hmm. I think that's a better thing, probably. Yep. In terms of his big breakthrough movie that was really, really big after his little indie one, The Mask, as opposed to Happy Gilmore. I mean, holy shit, surely.
Yeah.
His serious film that actually got people respecting his acting ability, The Truman Show, which is a fucking legitimately amazing film.
Yeah.
In place of The Wedding Singer. In place of, what was the next one? The Waterboy is a sort of return to his usual form after his dramatic role. You've got Liar Liar. And then as a later thing, a big budget production that maybe isn't quite as highly regarded as his earlier stuff, you've got Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
So I think that lineup of 5 will lead to a much happier week than the one we've just had.
Almost without a doubt. I think we can say that for sure, objectively. Unless Jim Carrey threw a dodgeball at you when you were younger.
Sorry about that. He may have done it in the fucking Cable Guy. He really went
a lot of stuff in the Cable Guy. I'm a big fan of the Cable Guy.
I am too. He actually ate Matthew Broderick. And that was the one better thing. The one better thing. Okay. Thank you for listening to One Good Thing.
Thanks for listening to episode 70 of One Good Thing. We will be back next
Wow,
week.
everyone. Fucking wow.
Yeah.
70 of this.
70 hours of us. 70 thereabouts of One Good Thing, and that's pretty good.
3 days. 3 whole days, no sleep. Why not have a marathon?
Tell you, feels like that sometimes.
Kill us. Kill us. Kill us. Go on.
But if you'd rather not kill us, you could always leave a review on iTunes.
Yay.
You could subscribe on iTunes. You can subscribe on YouTube or Stitcher or Podbean. Do all the things. Just come and be our friends. We're friendly folk. Yeah. And until next time, bye.
What a brilliant new sign-off you've developed.
I was working on it for a long time. 70 episodes, in fact. What do you think?
I think we're finally there, Paul.
Podcast Peak.
Peak Podcast. I'm Peak Podcast.
I'm Pod Peakcast.
And remember, the one good thing about Adam Sandler is that he knows no shame or modesty, that natural ability is superior to hard work, which is for losers. The only cool weakness for a character to have is not caring enough, that he wants to be the underdog and to mock the underdog, and that the Adam Sandler movie is a product for mass consumption.
Star Trek.
Spark. Look, there's nothing in butt pics anymore. The bottom's fallen out of it.
Ofsted released a report. And, they said it was gay and shit.
Gay and shit. They gave it both ratings.
You can't use those words, Ofsted.
Yes, we fucking can. We're Ofsted. We're just gonna do it fucking we like.
Ofsted, motherfucker.
Come with me and you'll see a tremendous amount of butt pics. Have a look. Here's your dad from 1983. You knew Marcus Aurelius.
Kirk Honeycutt.
Kirk Honeycutt. He's the inverse Kurt Vonnegut. I'm Clint Rock, and I'm here to have sex with you today.
I'm Buck Fuck. Howdy fucking do.
Racist Billy was the only not racist one. That's my name.
That's what they call him.
Sorry, I've just got to brace myself for when you show me anything like that.
Oh, look what I did!
Yes! Oh, God.
Just like 5-minute dance.
Oh, God, sorry. So I'll try and retain my emotions.
12 minutes later. I'm Paul Pye, P.I.